Okay, so the best way I can think of to explain how the Electoral College works is to explain it like scoring in tennis. When one player wins a rally, they get some points, right? And this can go back and forth. Often does. But let's say I'm at 40, you're at 30, and then I score one more time. I win the game, and we start again. Those 30 points you won, completely worthless. They're gone, like they never happened. All that matters is that I got the required number of points before you did. That's how the Electoral College works. Every state is like a game in tennis. It doesn't matter if one candidate wins by 1% or by 100%. Whoever wins the most votes by the end of the count in any given state wins the whole state. And what makes this slightly more complex than a simple tennis match is that each state is worth a different number of points. The most valuable state is California, worth a whopping 54 points. That's based on population. At the other end of the spectrum, you have 7 states, which includes Washington, D.C., worth only 3 points. Everything else is in between. The name of the game, first to 270 points, because there are 538 Electoral College points up for grabs. 270 is 50% plus 1. Now, there are hiccups because, of course, there are hiccups. Maine and Nebraska work a bit differently. Maine is worth 4 points, Nebraska is worth 5. Okay, but only 2 points apiece is a winner-take-all kind of thing, based on the statewide popular vote. The rest of the points are awarded district by district. So you can have one party winning some of those districts and the other party winning the rest. That's actually what happened in 2020 when Donald Trump was considered to have won the state of Nebraska, except he only won 4 of the possible 5 points because Joe Biden's candidate won Nebraska's 2nd district, which is worth 1 point. Now, we're going to stop calling them points because they're actually Electoral College votes, and I'll explain what I mean. So a little quirk of this whole system is that when you go to a voting booth and you're ticking off either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, you're not actually directly voting to elect that person as president. What you're actually voting for is a slate of electors. That's a group of people who agree to take your vote and then, in turn, cast the actual vote for you and everyone in your state who voted as you did, when it actually counts to elect the next president. So, for example, if I'm in Texas, which is worth 40 Electoral College votes, and I vote for Donald Trump, and he goes on to win that race, I'm actually just voting for a group of people, the electors, which the Republican Party has handpicked to represent my vote when they convene on the Tuesday after the 2nd Wednesday in December after Election Day. Yes, the timing is that arcane. But whatever, it's literally 40 people who all agree to vote for Trump when the Electoral College meets in each state this year on December 17th. And then Congress has to meet at the Capitol to count and certify those Electoral College votes, paving the way for the presidential inauguration. Now, on what date do they do this counting and certifying? January 6th. Yes, that January 6th. That's what all those representatives and senators were in the middle of doing on a date that at virtually all other times is quite boring and procedural. In 2024, it'll be considered a national special security event, like the Democratic or Republican national conventions. Now, this system can lead to all kinds of funny outcomes. For example, if you think back to 2016, can you guess which 3 states Donald Trump won the most votes in? Texas was number 1. Florida was number 2, but California was number 3. Not exactly what you think of as a Republican stronghold. It's the opposite. But while Donald Trump won almost 4.5 million votes in that state, Hillary Clinton won almost double that. So those 4.5 million votes, which is more votes than Donald Trump won in any other state besides the ones I just mentioned, they were all worth nothing in the end. In a winner-take-all system, it doesn't really matter that there are very Republican parts of California or very Democratic parts of Texas. And if you multiply that type of scenario out across the country, then you can end up with situations where a candidate wins the election with fewer total votes than his or her opponent. That's what happened in 2016, when Donald Trump won a quarter of all of his Electoral College votes from just 191,000 votes cast in the closest 4 states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Florida. He won them all by 1.2 percentage points or less, but he took all 75 Electoral College votes, while Hillary Clinton won none. But strictly speaking, more Americans voted for Hillary Clinton than voted for Donald Trump by nearly 3 million votes. So look, the presidential election is the only US election that uses this system. They use the popular vote in all other congressional, state, and local races. And there has been plenty of talk of reforming the system over the years. But until that happens, if it ever does, this is the system they've got.